technology progress takes energy. Now, maybe we can do it more efficiently, and we are, and over time, of course. But energy necessarily grows as the economy progresses. And if we're right, and the economy and the growth rate of the economy is going to accelerate because of the massive innovation that's taking place out there, we're going to need even more energy. So that's the first thing. But
joining today's video host Cathie Wood for an enlightening discussion, these industry heavyweights explore the potential of Bitcoin and the Lightning Network to transform ad-driven micropayments, alter the energy environment, and more.
And when you have them converging, they're going to start feeding one another and creating incredible growth opportunities. And I think what we're here to do today is to talk about convergence involving Bitcoin. And I would say one reason that we've seen the price appreciation recently is the recognition more and more. There's a lot of education taking place, especially 11 ETFs issued at the same time. You've got 11 asset managers out there educating as many people as possible. And what are we saying to them to make this understandable? We're saying that Bitcoin is three very big ideas in one. It's a technology, right? But if you think about it, it's leveraging off the internet. It's the layer of the internet that developers didn't put in place in the early 90s because they never dreamed that financial services or commerce would take place on the internet. So it's simply the next generation of the internet. It is a monetary system, the first global, decentralized, private, no government oversight, no throat to choke, digital, rules-based, that's extremely important, monetary system in history. So there's tech, there's economics, and then the third thing, and this we brought to light with the ETF issuance, is it is a new asset class. And every asset manager, retail or institutional, has to consider putting a new asset class in their clients' portfolios. Why? Because of the low correlation of returns. What that means, you slot some Bitcoin in, and your return per unit of risk goes up. And every institution knows that, and so they have a responsibility to understand what Bitcoin is and what kind of investment opportunity it will represent for their clients. So I think that ETF issuance has really helped cement this story and is beginning to generate deeper understanding more broadly in the investment world.
The United States Securities and Exchange Commission has decided not to ask a court to decide if the tokens named in its lawsuit against Binance are securities. Instead, the SEC has filed an amendment to its complaint regarding the third-party crypto assets that were defined in its opposition to Banset's motion to dismiss. This means that the government agency is no longer asking the court to decide if the affected tokens are securities. The SEC filed its response to the court's minute order on July 9, 2024. Following presidential contenders' efforts to win over pro-crypto U.S. voters, the SEC withdrew its request to make a ruling on July 27. At the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, former President Donald Trump made a campaign promise to end the war on crypto. The volunteer state on his campaign trail, Republican Donald Trump promised to make the United States the global leader in cryptocurrency. He also promised to establish a council to advise him on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and to remove SEC Chair Gary Gensler from his position as soon as he takes office. Trump has stated his intention to select a new chairman who will assist the United States in constructing its future, rather than obstructing it from the opposing political faction. On July 27, members of the U.S. House of Representatives from the Democratic Party signed a letter urging the party to have a proactive stance towards digital assets and blockchain. In reaction to the letter, advisors to presidential candidate and incoming Vice President Kamala Harris reached out to crypto companies in an effort to mend the party's relationship with the crypto industry.
And I'll follow up on AI. What's going on in AI is amazing. We have been very aggressive in our expectations, and yet we're seeing, and Mark Zuckerberg this week talked about open source models and how this might accelerate many of the trends that AI has already triggered. And so I think what we're going to see is a couple of things. One, and we've learned this from the Lightning Network and some of the developers working on it, in Africa, I don't know if you know roast beef, but he's one of them. We did a brainstorm. We do a Bitcoin brainstorm every month in conjunction with Bitcoin Park. And he was on one of the first of them. So look that up. It's every time I am with the developers or the miners or some part of the Bitcoin ecosystem, my confidence in what is about to happen here increases. Well, roast beef at one of the first two of those brainstorms, sitting in Africa, was saying, this is transforming lives in Africa. It is going to redefine the division of labor. We think we understand the gig economy. Think micro-gig economy, and think global labor force and piecemealing out these tasks. So he says this is transforming people's lives in Africa. And so I think the payments part of this is critical.
Yes.
And I also think the second part, so division of labor and paying for those micro giga jobs,
yes,
is one example. And then there's the machine to machine. Basically, it's called agentic AI. I will basically direct an LLM to create a marketing program for me and my new company, including a website, a marketing program, articles, promotional materials, and so forth. And the agentic AI will do that from beginning to end when we finally get there. And we're getting there faster than I thought we were going to get there. So how does this happen? How do we pay all of the various entities involved? Lightning Network, Bitcoin payments ecosystem. So we, along with Block, held a half-day seminar featuring Elon and Jack Dorsey, Steve Lee, for those of you who know him. And we were trying to disabuse them of this notion, the critics, that this is environmentally damaging. I'm going to back up just a little bit and say, I think that we're beginning to hear more common sense generally when it comes to that topic. To grow, we need energy. Technology progress takes energy. Now, maybe we can do it more efficiently, and we are, and over time, of course. But energy necessarily grows as the economy progresses. And if we're right, and the economy and the growth rate of the economy is going to accelerate because of the massive innovation that's taking place out there, we're going to need even more energy. So that's the first thing. But during the seminar, we were able to illustrate that Bitcoin mining in a utility ecosystem and other energy ecosystems is actually going to help us overbuild renewable energy, solar and wind. Why? Well, as you're putting in this renewable energy ecosystem, you're going to have utilities, going to have storage unit. And in sunny Florida, where I live now, the storage will fill up very quickly, and then it'll just be wasted unless it's put to some good use. Bitcoin mining is that use. And what does it do for the utility ecosystem? okay, mining Bitcoin means you get Bitcoin. And if you're really trying to build out your renewable infrastructure and accelerate it, Bitcoin actually will be an enabler of that. And then, of course, the second one, we saw this with Exxon. I was so surprised to see them putting Bitcoin mining machines into natural gas fields to take instead of flaring gas and even worse, venting it, just using it to mine Bitcoin. That's Exxon.
Donald Trump's appearance at Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville was a major event in recent days. Trump and fellow contender Robert Kennedy Jr. vowed to turn the 200,000 BTC confiscated by the U.S. government into a strategic reserve if elected, as rumored. Trader Don's crypto trades fell in the hours after Trump's confirmation, but he suggested in his newest XC article that the main move on Betkist is still to come. May only now be starting the rumor that Trump would announce a strategic Bitcoin reserve started last week. During that time, $BTC mostly traded up while stocks took a massive beating. He summarized usually BTC would have traded down considerably during such weakness in the general markets, but it didn't, which I think contributed to this narrative. We likely traded 5 to 10% higher than we should have because of this, as U.S. national debt hits Jerome Powell's press conference this week after the latest Federal Open Market Committee FOMC interest rate decision can set long-term economic policy expectations by the tone of his comments. Markets expect few surprises from the decision itself, and no rate cuts are expected until the next FC meeting in September, according to CME Group's FedWatch tool. Crypto and risk asset traders should focus on September cuts because they should boost investment liquidity this week.